lunch break. So glad you joined us. You got caught, Justin.
Yes, welcome. Sorry, I was literally sharing. I still am. We're live now, you
We're
guys.
live,
Welcome
and
to lunch break.
please do what Justin was doing. Share, like us, because there again, we want people to be able to get out there and see the show. We are so glad you've tuned in with us today. Really excited that Justin, you're here, and my friend Arthur Smith is here.
Alrighty, thanks for having me.
I haven't got to see each other for a while, but
It's
I
been a
catch up
little
with you, and I catch up with you guys, you and Theo on Facebook.
Hey, you're not the only one that does that, so I try to keep everyone up to speed on what we got going on.
That's how we've made it through, right? This
Yes.
whole time.
This whole period of time, social media has been huge.
It
Huge,
has.
definitely.
It has. We want to thank Encourage Media for bringing us to you guys. It's part of the group that we're involved with. Our creator, Josh Vietti. I want to thank Josh and our executive director, Vince Sierras. He's not with us today. I think he got the day off. I don't know. I think he.
Yeah, he did. He's been working a lot.
Yeah, he has been working a lot. Our tech guys do a lot. Our executive producer, Seth Parker, he's back there with us, and on-site producer, Mike Harvey, who was our guest last week.
Yes, sir.
Man, if you want to hear a good episode, Mike did a great job last week.
It was good. I watched it. It was good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep, so Mike did a great job, and I want to thank our creative consultants, Tessa and Taylor Touchstone. They're always helping us out. And Justin, I love doing this show with you.
Yes,
and,
it's always a
just-
blast.
yes, it is.
Always brand new. We never know what's going to actually happen.
That is so true. People don't know that. We got a special announcements toward the end that Justin and I are
Yes.
going to make. Really excited about that. But it's you guys that make this possible. If you guys didn't tune in or watch us or re-watch us, it's the encouraging part, and you guys send us in ideas and thoughts, and hopefully we can bring those in. So our question from the
Yes,
audience from
let's
last
get
week,
into
which
it.
came from Mike Harvey, and the question was, as Mike dropped us something new
Yes.
about him and our executive director, Vince Sierra. They were roommates.
Yeah, which
But I
I
think-
didn't know after.
I
a
didn't
long time
either.
of knowing both of them.
Well, knowing them both, they never said it, I
Yeah.
don't think. I don't know if that meant they weren't proud of it or they just had nothing to say.
It's a quiet secret, so I don't know.
Yeah. So, but that was kind of an interesting thing because they said they became roommates based on a dare.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I'd choose roommates based on a dare.
Or anything.
Well, as I jump in to answer our question, our question this week is how do you maintain a friendship and have somebody, one of your friends be your roommates?
Yeah.
And I think I ended up in what you were talking about. I ended up having 5 roommates one time.
Yeah.
We were all bodybuilders, and I think Arthur asked me how that would happen.
Couldn't
It
have
wasn't
done
by
it.
I don't
choice
think it
because we
works.
were all broke.
No way.
We all didn't have money, so we just all kind of was a flop house more than anything else.
Gotcha.
So it's back when athletes are kind of getting up to steam. We all had pretty successful careers in bodybuilding and made some money after that. But I didn't make it out with any of them as friends.
Okay.
I mean, the biggest thing that we were always arguing about was, who took somebody's anabolic steroids and needles. Seriously, that was our beef.
Interesting arguments.
It was. Well, hey, we're all meatheads, and that's stuff. I think you guys know my past. I don't hide my drug abuse or
I
use.
can only imagine the Roy Rage fights. that
Oh,
had to
you know,
take
the
place.
I was kind of thinking it, but I didn't want
Yeah.
to say it. But
The only blessing is most of us weren't home at the same time.
That's
Yeah,
good.
That
and so
that probably was a blessing,
That was a
for
good
sure.
thing. But I can jump in because when I came back to Bakersfield, my best friend, and we're still best friends, John Haddad.
Yes.
A lot of you guys know him because of the car dealerships here in town. But John offered me to move in with him, and we lived together for almost a year. I was having a house built, and John and I maintained a very close relationship. We talked pretty much every week, and it's just kind of a great relationship. But we understood each other, and we both had professions that we were involved with, but we also maintained a relationship. And we both got saved at Valley Bible Fellowship, and we had church in common.
Nice.
So that was a real positive thing. The one thing that John and I probably didn't share, and this was just something, if you're 2 guys and you're living out there, and you're having a issue with something with morality or something like that, the thing that we came up together was my boundary line was the front door.
Mhm.
His boundary line was the bedroom door. Let's just call it that. So our boundaries conflicted.
Yeah.
So we just chose my boundary. So we just said front door. Not everybody gets in the front door. You know,
Gotcha.
so it was just he and I, but I mean, outside of that, we just were watching ourselves, you know, together.
Gotcha.
Just said, hey, we're trying to live, you know, a little more sensible life,
That's good.
and so we had to draw boundary lines.
Well, you had someone that was holding you accountable.
That's
for
the way I
what
look
you
at it
did.
too, Arthur.
It is,
Because
yeah.
you know, as men, as guys, we need people to hold us accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have I don't have a personal experience of living with roommates per se, but I have experience that I experienced secondhand through my friend group, and I saw a friendship get ruined through it. And it's I'm gonna leave their names out because I know they're watching. I don't want to just blast them completely.
So,
but-
so in your opinion, what was the?
They're still going to know that you're talking.
no, they just they know. I even
Just so
told
you
them
know.
I'm sharing the story so they could watch. But
So what was in your opinion the thing that?
there was one friend. There was one friend who didn't, and that's what I wanted to point out.
There was
to
a third
everyone.
person?
No, there's one friend who was part of it. There's two of them. Your names are coming out. One is Matt.
Obviously, you might as well say it. They know you're talking
And
about.
so he was a pothead. That's what he was. And he moved in with another friend who went out and drank with us and stuff, but just wasn't a pothead. And there's just a big difference in those two, whatever your habit is. So he would not keep up his part of cleaning. He would not keep up his part of having us. We would all come over when the other friend was he was still in school. He was still working full time, and we were all just chilling. Like we were all straight chilling. So they were always conflicted about hanging out and cleaning up. And they had house rules, and this is what I wanted to point out. They had house rules, but my friend Matt never followed them. He could not follow the house rules. He broke them every time. To where their friendship broke, we broke up fights there every night. And
Yeah.
it just didn't work out. And they still to this day don't actually talk to each other. And we were all real tight.
Gotcha.
So the point I saw from it though is when as men, if we're moving in as roommates and you guys make house rules, it's up to each of us individually to keep that standard. So you come to the agreement, make your arguments when you set those house rules, but once you guys set them, it's up to you as a man to keep them. Because if you don't, that's on you. You can't blame the other person. If you can't keep the rules, that's on you.
Well, I think that's just a respect thing. You know,
Yes.
of course, I mean, I know our conversation right now is centered around, two gentlemen living together, but if it was two girls or a guy and a girl or what have you,
respect. I like that.
if you make those rules, those boundaries or whatever you would like to call them, it's just respecting the fact that that's what we've agreed upon. So
Yes.
the cleaning part, whoever gets access to your home, because if you live with somebody, when you bring somebody else over, they're getting access to your stuff and theirs.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you feel comfortable with those people in your personal living space. I don't really have an experience in that outside of I did live my freshman year on campus at Wichita State with my high school best friend.
Okay.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that we're not friends now. I mean, we don't talk as much as maybe we did that freshman year. But I think just once we moved in, we just kind of noticed we were just on two different
Pass.
directories,
Yeah,
in terms of what we were going to do. I mean, I wouldn't say school was for both of us, but it was something that I made my mom a promise, who I know is watching. So hello, mom.
Shout out to
You
your
raised
mom.
a good. I want to vouch for that. You're a good man.
She told me, hey, if you start it, let's finish it. And so I knew I was going to finish. My best friend, at the time, I mean, that was kind of optional, so he
Yeah.
didn't really return after that first year. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. He's actually done great things. He still lives in Wichita, which is where I'm from, and he is a manager at one of the country clubs, and is doing great things in the community in terms of giving individuals an opportunity for employment and bettering themselves. But
Yeah.
I just think that living situation just kind of showed me like I'm pretty reserved. I like things clean. I like to kind of
learned
have
that
my own
quickly.
time.
Yes.
And he was kind of in and out partying, and of course we partied together as well. But I also was very comfortable with just being in the dorm room as well.
Yes.
But if you have someone that's been out partying and they come home, then it's it's a little bit different. So
Yeah, way
I think we learned that, but I go back to I think it's just a respect thing. If you make some rules or whatever those boundaries are, just respect those. And if that's not something you want to agree with, then maybe you need to find someone else to live with
Yeah.
for you and them.
Yeah,
just
when you
wanna-
look at all these issues, if people just simply respect each other, you wouldn't have the issue. It's
Yeah.
when we all as humans get mad, emotional, and we let our respect level go down towards the other person. We got to hold ourselves accountable.
You have to hold yourself
Most
accountable.
definitely.
Well, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, one of the things that my friend John Haddad and I had is we had a housekeeper. So we didn't have to worry about
Safety.
leaving the house.
That's
But I can say
That's
we had to come to a point where you couldn't let girls in the front door because we had two separate boundary lines, and and so we agreed on that, and we kept it that way.
That's
Well, there you go.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
get it? So we're going to let Mike Harvey jump in because Mike, the question came to you. How did you and Vince stay such good friends?
He doesn't want to answer us, guys. He's nervous.
Hey there. Is this mic on?
I think you're
I
on.
think you're on.
Right on. Yeah, so, it was kind of a journey. Actually, me and Vince went to high school together, and, we didn't know each other then as well as we do now, and really we got to know each other really well from living together. So I would say that, I think part of what made it work is we weren't really super close before we moved in together. We knew each other and we had somewhat of a relationship, but as we moved in together, that grew, and so now we're a lot closer than we were then. So I think the reason why it worked is because we weren't as close as we are now.
So you grew closer
That's cool.
in living together. That's a great
Shout out to
commentary.
that new camera shot they got. Also, Mike looks clean back
Well,
there.
and I
So
could see that just off of that example. I could see that because, if you do move in with somebody that you know, then you have an expectation for the way that they're going to act as well.
Yeah.
And so then if they fall short of that, then you're like, oh my goodness, I don't like this person anymore. Versus if you don't
Yeah.
really or have a little bit, then you can grow into learning who that person
Yeah,
is.
you usually only see the best version of your friends out and about.
Exactly.
And at home, you find out
Exactly.
what they do when they're tired, when they're lazy.
Exactly.
And we're different. Be like, you catch me before 10 a.m. I'm free. I'm a mean person because I need some coffee.
Jerry,
or
too.
something.
And speaking of coffee, I just I don't want to jump ahead too far, but it may be kind of a surprise to a lot of people, but I've never had coffee.
Yes,
Oh,
we stumbled into this free show.
Yeah.
Which it's a great, it's going to kickstart to our next part of our segment. It's a part called What's New, where we ask our guests what is something that people may not know about you. So you guys are going to get a double dose
Yes.
of What's New today. Because one, we all found out pre-show, this man has not tried coffee. If anyone's out there, you got a coffee product, send it in. We will get it to this man and make him drink this coffee.
Yeah, the only thing I can say coffee wise that I've had, and people will probably say it doesn't count, is Cold Stone. Has a coffee flavored ice cream.
That does
That's
not count.
not-
Now listen, guys.
cream.
Whatsoever.
Now that ice cream is good. That I will
Does it have a kick to it?
Probably
No, it's
not.
just ice cream that has
but-
a good taste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the ice cream I'll do. But no, I've never
That's
actually
wild.
had coffee.
Or caffeine?
No,
Well,
he'd share with me.
Well, yeah,
in
caffeine
there.
through energy drinks. I don't really drink those too much now, but
Yeah.
what I used to drink a lot of was hot chocolate. I'm a big kid, so I love hot chocolate. But
So interesting.
there's caffeine in that as well.
There is,
and I
that chocolate.
noticed that maybe a couple of days I didn't have it. I just didn't think about getting it.
Yeah.
And then just the headache, that I got, I was like,
Yes.
okay, well, if this is anything like coffee, then I'm okay. I don't need any coffee.
don't
But
need
no,
to try
I've never had it. I mean, I go to Starbucks, I go to all the places like other people do, but I'm normally going to get a tea or or a hot chocolate if I get anything. But I've never. Had coffee.
We're so deep in the Christian world. I just
oh.
assume everyone drinks coffee.
Yeah.
That's
It flows at church, right?
a survival
is.
survival liquid. I
We're at the
guess.
Northwest Campus. We have a coffee bar inside the foyer.
Christian
So,
goes Holy Spirit and coffee. It's
I like
right
it.
there. Those two.
I
things.
like it. So what else about you, Arthur,
Yeah,
that maybe
what else
people
would
wouldn't
people
know?
not
Yeah.
know?
So what's new? One thing that I share with everyone, and I think a lot of people, I know, Justin, when we spoke yesterday, you had mentioned it. So I coach cheerleading.
I knew that.
I've been actually doing college cheer for going on 17 years now. So I started
High
about
level cheer too.
So he does.
2000,
I've seen his. I have
2006.
seen his squads.
And thank you for that. But I did it in college as well, Wichita State and Wichita, Kansas. I know we'll get to that, kind of where I'm from and a little bit of upbringing. So a lot of people don't see that in me when they first kind of see me, just physical stature. Yes, I did
did
play
not.
other sports, played football growing up, ran track, wrestled during the winter. And so I think all of those experiences just kind of set me up for success as it pertains to cheerleading, because I didn't know any other terminology
Yeah.
or anything of that magnitude. I just knew how to pick somebody up through like wrestling and stuff
Yeah.
like
Throw
that.
them
So
in the air.
you just tell me
And
what to
catch 'em
do,
when they
and
come down.
they like it when you catch them.
Yeah, sometimes.
And then just hold them and do those things. So a lot of people don't know that. The other thing is that I played the violin growing up.
Well, the thing I've held back on you is I did too.
Well, see,
We dropped that on the
Yes, we
first
did.
show, and when you talked about the time period, about the same thing.
Yeah.
I gave up my freshman year of high school.
Yeah,
all the way from second grade.
Yeah, I was the
Yeah.
same. I was trombone until
Trombone.
high school.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. What I wish I could remember is how I got into it, because I really don't remember like why I started playing the violin. I'm sure probably off the suggestion of my music teacher or what have you, but we started doing it, and I was like, oh, this is really this is kind of fun, and then you get to take it home and you get to
Yeah.
practice at home. Mom probably hated that all
sure.
the practice. Because I'm sure I wasn't very good at first, but it was a lot of fun. But as you said, as you get older, started doing more sports, more practices, and things of that nature. It was just kind of something that fell to.
That's
the
why this is why I love what's new, because
Yes.
you get. I even told Pastor Tom when I looked at your photo. I hadn't met you before. I looked at your photo and I'm like, okay, we got another athlete on the show. We got this and that. And I'm reading the description. I go, whoa! Like, I would have never thought. And I just love that you're breaking the mold, because you're a strong athletic dude.
Yeah.
Did play sports. Definitely could dominate sports. But you're a cheerleader and a violinist. Like that's how much do we not know about so many people out there?
And all you have to do is ask.
Yes.
I always tell people this, that I think human beings are very interesting. That's why I love doing the show with everybody that comes
works
out.
every time.
We learn something new. I can tell you, Arthur, what I got when I started playing the violin. I started noticing that the band people started pulling out of classes. I'm like, how can I get out of class? And so they go, hey, we're an orchestra. So I went, and all they had left was a violin.
Well,
So I think I wanted a trumpet or something, because my brother played trumpet, and they go, no, we just got violins left. And I said, I'll take one of those. and I loved it. I mean, I did. But I did go on to the baritone in the marching band.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So,
And I would just say, I know we're going to move on, but I would say to your point, I know you had EJ Callahan
I had EJ
a few
on.
weeks ago, a co-worker of mine, and he said it, and my parents said it to me growing up. Just try everything.
Everything.
Just if it's right there in front of you, try it.
That's a good one.
At the end of the day, it doesn't mean you have to love it. Doesn't mean you have to do it your entire life. But
Yes.
who wants to kick themselves because they didn't try something
Yes.
and they could have, fallen in love with it? So the violin was something I just tried, and I was in the choir as well. In middle school and things like that. So, I tried it all.
I know.
Yeah.
Sports is kind of what I, really attached myself to, but I had a lot of fun doing a lot of other stuff.
You never know unless you try.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't.
And that still holds true to this day. I will continue to speak. Me and my some of the young adults I'm with, we fell in love with beach volleyball now all of a sudden. And I always told people I play basketball for life, because the only way I can work out and not feel like I'm working out
Is to
And
play a
now-
sport,
and Now
yeah.
we're doing beach volleyball 3 times a week.
Which is a workout.
Doing we'll do 5 hours sometimes.
No way.
So hard.
And that's a workout.
And it's something else. I would have never known I liked volleyball. Would have never. You just got to try stuff. And it's still, that's not just for your younger years. It's for life. Continue to try new things. You
Yeah.
never know.
That's what I'm telling both you guys, because you're younger than I am.
Yeah.
Just keep on going.
Yeah.
Arthur, do you ever look back and say, I wish I would have kept up playing the violin? That's my regret. I still have my violin. I own it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't play that for anything. And I just wish I would have kept up with music, reading music, and
I think if anything, I wish I would have continued to read music.
Yes, that's it.
because I just think that's a skill that so many talented musicians honestly don't have themselves.
don't even have,
they
yeah.
just are very, musically inclined, that they can hear something and just kind of, regurgitate that, if you will, but actually reading the music, and that's not a knock on them. Obviously, they're very talented.
Yeah.
But I think it's a skill that's pretty cool. If you can read it.
we had to learn to read it when you played the violin.
Yeah, I had it down, and to look at it now, it looks like a different.
It would look
language.
like
It doesn't look
hieroglyphics.
language.
Yeah, it would look like hieroglyphics if you put a
Yeah, but we
a sheet
as
of music in
kids,
front
we
of me.
read it just fine. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. So as we go on, tell us about your story, Arthur. I know as you were growing up in Kansas, and and then you're here in California. Kind of run us through, your journey, your trip.
Yeah, and I would start by saying, and I truly believe this. I mean, I'm not as interesting as people might think.
You're very interesting.
Just because, it's my life, I've been living it, so I don't know how interesting it would be to anyone else. But yes, I did grow up in Wichita, Kansas. So my immediate family was my mom, my dad, and my sister. So growing up in Wichita, I thought was, of course, it's all I know, but I thought it was great. I think Wichita is a lot like Bakersfield in terms of it has a small town feel. You get to know your neighbors, you get to know, a lot of your friends, you do sleepovers, all that good stuff. And so I really liked it. I really enjoyed my time there. And so high school, as I mentioned earlier, played, pretty much every sport that you put in front of me. So played a lot of sports growing up. Got into football really heavy, had college scholarships for that, did that for a little bit, and then came to Wichita State and did cheer. And then that kind of got me into it. Now, if I was to get a little bit deeper, and I'm sure we will just kind of as the show goes on, I always tell people that cheerleading saved my life at the time, or the direction of where I was going.
How so?
The reason I say is because in high school, my biological dad passed away. And so kind of watching that happen over time, he lived his life. He and I'm not ashamed to say it. He did drugs, and I remember seeing that from time to time. And he smoked a lot. And so my mom at the time, her job, she's since retired, which I'm so happy for her.
Congratulations, Mom. I heard
she worked at Apria Healthcare, and so she did a lot of the oxygen machines and things like that. So a lot of my early memories of my dad were him being on oxygen. And so I used to always have to change those machines, and I used to just see how, if he got caught somewhere where, his oxygen ran out, just how laborsome that was for him to breathe. And so that kind of got me in the sport. I always wanted to be in shape because, I wanted to not be like that. But when he passed, I think like any, young adult, you have a moment where you look like, okay, well, what am I going to do now?
My life's just changed.
Yeah, which way am I going to go? So it was right there before my senior year. So senior year, you're on top of the mountain in school. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of let that year go. You just kind of do it and have fun and whatever. But when it was time to go to college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And so that's when I met my mentor, who I call my dad, Jay Grayson, who I'm sure is probably watching this, or will watch it on replay.
Yeah.
And, he really started sharing his story with me, and then he, really stepped into that father figure role. So I say that cheerleading saved my life because it gave me a new passion. Mm-hmm. It gave me something that I had to go to school for in order to be able to participate. But then it gave me a lot of different experiences that a guy from the, northeast side of Wichita would not have had any other way. And so, I say I've been blessed, and I know we'll talk about it, but I've been blessed to go to a lot of different places. Just living in California, is something I would have never experienced or would have thought of experiencing without the art of cheerleading. So cheerleading, I would say, has been the better part of my adult life. And I love it because it's given my life a lot of purpose, a lot of passion.
And you'll be able to influence college students because you've been where they're at. I think that's sometimes so important. So how did you and Jay kind of, how did that mentorship start? Because I still believe that a lot of you out there need somebody in your life,
For sure.
to help you, navigate life. Sometimes life is difficult.
We haven't had a guest yet that couldn't point to some mentor who was poured into them. So it's a common denominator in people who have made it successful in whatever form you think success is.
Well, I think people just need to, I would say, realize that, or not even so much realize it, but just accept that, that person has had a large influence on their life. Because I think a lot of times people notice that, you had this conversation with this person, you had this conversation with this person, but they don't necessarily recognize just how impactful that conversation was with that person. Because maybe they kind of get in their head and think, well, I kind of came to that decision on my own. I can genuinely say there are a lot of things that I've done or things that I've handled in particular ways directly tied to what Jay told me to do or what my mom told me to do. And so it kind of made those decisions easier because I was like, hey, they say I should do it. It makes sense.
You had a model.
So exactly.
And then you get to see the results of it. Then you can adopt that into your own thinking. Mm-hmm. That's why I think mentors are so important. So Jay, if you're out there watching, thank you.
Most definitely. So to answer your question on how we met, I was kind of hanging around like that senior year. I was kind of hanging around the girls. I mean, let's just be honest, guys.
Okay.
It's the girls, you know? I mean, you get into cheerleading for the girls. So a lot of my friends in high school.
No.
I know it sounds like a crazy thing that, you know, anyone would think that. But a lot of my friends in high school were cheerleaders. And so, you know, I would hang around with them a lot. And a couple of them did all-star cheerleading. And so there was a gym in town. And so I would go there and just kind of would play around picking people up and things of that nature. And that's what Jay was doing. So Jay is a former college football player as well. He played at the University of Tulsa, then he played at Friends University, which is in Wichita, and then got into cheerleading himself. And so we started talking. We had that common denominator of football initially, and then cheerleading, and then, you know, the things that happened with my biological dad happened, and then he was just there for me. He was just there to help me, with practice, and we would talk, and then it just kind of grew into that. I think I have a greater appreciation for the influence that he's had on my life moving forward, because like he has 3 kids. I'm the godfather of all 3 of those kids. I love them like they're my own, but he always keeps it straight with me as well. He has zero problem telling me that I was wrong
Lining
doing
you
that.
up, right?
You know, he has zero problem doing that. But then he's also, just like my mom, is going to be, you know, your biggest supporter when you do something right too. And so, you know, that mentorship has really been vital.
Has it influenced you to mentor others?
You know, I think so. You know, we just had tryouts at Cal State Bakersfield where I work, and I always like to do an interview process, something I got from him. I always like to do an interview process or portion of our tryout process with all of our athletes. And I like to tell them, I like to get to know them a little bit, but also tell them that, you know, I've been where you are. I know everyone always says that, but I want you to know that, like, if I ask, are you okay, or how your day is going, I genuinely want to know that answer. Because a lot of times people say, well, how's your day going? Oh, it's horrible. Well, it'll get better. You know, they just kind of keep moving on because it's the nice thing to say. I will drop everything. If you say, hey, I'm having a tough day, I'm going to push away from my computer, and I want to know what's going on. I really want to hear that. And so I want all of my athletes, and I hope that over my 15-plus year career that, you know, my athletes can say, like, hey, you know, we may not have always seen eye to eye on stuff, but I also knew that Coach cared about me. Because I tell them that, you know, I will always care more about them outside of cheerleading than I ever will inside, but I care a whole bunch about you inside cheerleading. So that probably means I'm caring a ton outside of it, because I really do. So, you know, and those things have just been impressed upon me by other people in my life.
That's good.
Well, you know, I think if you're out there, one of the things you may be sitting here thinking is, I need somebody to get in my life. And we always tell that. I mean, one of the best ways we can tell you to do it is if you're plugged in with us at Valley Bible Fellowship.
Definitely.
You know, we've got the mighty men, the mighty women. We've got high school, junior high. There's always a way to get in there. But if you're also out there saying, I want to contribute to somebody like Jay did to Arthur, you know, then there's an opportunity there too. You know, just, you know, get involved. You know, that's why I tell people you'll never regret, you know, being part of kids' lives. I mean, both our director and producers over here, Seth, Parker, and Mike. I'm involved in their life, but I've been involved in Mike's life since he's 13. You know, and so now he's an adult. He's got a couple got 4 or 5 businesses.
Yeah.
So you'll never regret that.
No,
you know,
you really won't.
Because they'll grow up, and then you're always like, hey man, I had a part of that.
Exactly.
So if you're out there and you're wanting some of that, you know, you just get involved.
And to your point, I mean, I think you're spot on in that you'll never really regret being, you know, a positive influence in somebody's life. I also tell people, you know, if you're looking for a mentor or, you know, looking to be one, just be your authentic self. Yeah. Because I think, you know, as you live your life, you never know who's watching you just live your normal life. And then they may come to you and say, hey, you know what, I've been, you know, watching you from afar. I notice how you are with kids. Can you talk to my nephew, or can you talk to my daughter, or whatever it may be? Or, hey, you know, I see how you are with your husband or your wife. You know, can we start a Bible study, or can we go on a double date, you know, and, you know, poke your brain or whatever, you know. So sometimes it's not that you have to really seek out that person or whatever. It's just live
relational.
Live your authentic life and then see kind of what happens. Because, I mean, I, obviously, you know, we all are believers. I think God will put the people in your life that are supposed to be in it at the time they're supposed to be in it, and then you just have to go with it from there.
Yeah.
You know,
Sometimes they're seasonal.
it's very true.
Yeah.
So what brought you to California?
Well, there's two answers to that. Okay, I would say the short answer is work. You know, I work at Cal State Bakersfield. This is going to be my 9th season. I started in October, a week before my birthday, in 2013. And, you know, been here ever since, and we've been doing some great things out there. I know I see you at games. And, and just as a department as a whole, I mean, of course, I speak for Spirit. I think, you know, Spirit's doing amazing. But I think just the department from our basketball teams have won championships, done great jobs. Softball's won championships. Volleyball's won championships, you know, everything. So all of our sports, and I would say shout out, you know, to all of those sports and those coaches and the differences that they're making in our athletes' lives. But the short answer is just work. You know, I came out here for a job. You know, the long answer, you know, I'd say maybe is a little bit more complicated. Just to share a little bit about myself, a lot of people don't know because it was so long ago and not something that I necessarily talk about on a regular basis, but I used to be married. And so, you know, I got married in Wichita, you know, to a, you know, lovely lady at the time. You know, we were, you know, doing great. And I moved back to Wichita from Indiana. I was working at Purdue University for about 5 seasons and moved back, got married. You know, everything was good. You know, life was kind of on plan, on schedule, if you will, people want to call it, until it wasn't, you know, and then it just didn't work out. And so, you know, that slowly started to lead me here in the sense of I didn't necessarily know where I was going. You know, Jay was there. Obviously, my mom was there. Friends were there. But, you know, I've worked through the fact that, you know, for probably about a year and a half, I most definitely battled depression. And that's not anything that I would say lightly, but when I look at how my life was at that time, that's what it was. You know, for a solid year, you know, I don't think I went to bed before 3 a.m. every day, every night. That's obviously not good for your health. It's not good for your mental. And so, you know, it was just a situation where I was just kind of surviving, just kind of existing. And, you know, you have to look at eventually, like, how long do you want to be in that space, you know? And so for me, you know, it was something that needed to happen in terms of just a change of scenery, an opportunity to kind of, you know, not so much reinvent yourself. I think I'm the same person, but I think just to get back to the fun-loving, you know, person that I would say probably most people see me to be today. And so for me, you know, again, kind of going through that depression, working some odd-end jobs. I worked at State Farm, which is a great experience, don't get me wrong, but working at State Farm, worked at New York Life for a little bit. A friend of mine, as we all know, is kind of, you know, not what you know, sometimes who you know. A person that I know, Bill Boggs, works at National Cheerleaders Association. He called me. He said, "Hey, Arthur, there's a job opportunity in California, Bakersfield." Probably like a lot of people say, "Where's Bakersfield?" You know, initially. And so I was like, you know what, I'm interested.
Be kind when people say that.
You know, I'm interested. You know, I want to, you know, explore that opportunity. So did a couple meetings via Skype, which is probably kind of dating myself.
Yeah,
now
Zoom's a new word.
But did a couple interviews Skype and then got the job offer. And so what I tell people a lot of times is I moved to Bakersfield solely off of faith. I knew that I needed a change in my environment and my surroundings. I knew that. Didn't necessarily know where that was going to take me, but I got off the phone with who's now our AD, Ziggy.
Ziggy's a great
At the
guy.
time, he was in University Advancement. He probably won't like me telling this story, but you know, we're past it. We've moved on.
Ziggy's a good guy.
He called me. So I did the interview. He called me. I was actually coaching with Jay at an All-Star gym. Ziggy called me on my phone and he said, "Hey," he said, "not really supposed to tell you this, but he's like, we're going to offer you the job. We're going to turn it over to HR tomorrow. I just wanted to know, you know, would you accept it before we even do that?" And I was like, "Oh, most definitely. You know, it's great. Awesome." He's like, "Okay, don't say anything, yada, yada, yada." So got the job offer, went home that night, you know, just from a visual, truly did get down on my knees. And I thanked God for the opportunity. And I just asked him, I said, "Hey, if this is really what you want me to do, just tell me and I'm going to do it." You know, I talked to my mom about it, talked to Jay about it. They both said, yes, cool. So I moved to Bakersfield roughly about 2.5 weeks from all of that process starting with my car and 4 boxes. So I just packed up all my clothes or threw them in the back seat and just drove the 22 hours out here. I promise you, I did not know where I was going. When I was about halfway through the desert, I swear I thought I was going the wrong way.
You just got to keep going.
But yeah, no, so I just
Death
came out
Valley,
here.
keep going.
I just came out here on faith alone, not knowing anybody, just knowing that, hey, there's something out here that he wants me to do. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I've been here ever since.
I remember the first day you walked into our campus over there. I love this guy. I mean, he was just immediate, connection. So
It most definitely was. And to your point earlier about getting involved, I'm sure Pastor Tom has done it to probably everybody in this room and everybody at home. He constantly stayed on me to get involved, do something, do this, do that. And I was like, I don't really have the time. But then next thing you know, it was, kind of greeting people as they would come in or greeting them when they'd come to basketball games and different things. And then next thing you know, you just really feel like a part of the community. I know we were talking earlier, just through all this pandemic and all of that, we've discontinued having a service on campus, but I miss it because it was something that, I looked forward to every week. Even though I would go there every day for work, Sundays were different when we would go for church. It was different, it had a different feel, different vibe, different people. But the family is still the same.
Yeah, it is. So how did you, because I know as we go on, I understand you're doing photography now.
Yeah, I would say that's probably one of the pandemic things that everyone probably started something in the pandemic.
If you're smart, you started a new hobby.
A hustle, right?
Exactly.
Is that what they call it, a hustle?
Yep.
So yeah, photography for me, I think I've always been, let me say always. Towards the tail end of my college years, I really got into documenting the things that I did. That. And so I wish I would have done that earlier.
Oh my God! So what is that? I wish I would have.
Most definitely. So I just kind of got into it, and so now just kind of taking it more serious, talking to a lot of my photographer friends. It's just something that I find great pleasure in. I really like to connect with the person or the people in which I'm taking photos of, if it's an actual person, and help tell their story. I mean, I have a website that I put photos on, and that's kind of my tagline of let's tell your story together. That's cool. And so it's not just me taking a photo of you. It's like, what is the reason for this photo? It's a headshot, it's a family shot, but what are you trying to convey? Why are we taking this? And then let's, get there together. So I like it. If anyone, follows me on those social media accounts, they probably see a ton of my dog because I love him.
I love him.
He's my all-time model.
I think we have some pictures of Theo. Yeah. I've seen Theo as a puppy.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Theo in person.
You have. You know what? I brought him to church one time.
You did?
Emily, who's EJ's wife, she probably doesn't know that when my office was in their space, I brought Theo to the office one time to go to church. We went to church and then left. But he stayed in the office. That's when you got to see him. But yeah, he just turned 3 early part of September, and he's spoiled.
And he keeps you. Yeah, there again. We have 2 cats and a dog at my house. I was never a cat person until my wife and
told you that you were. That's what it was.
Still not.
Yeah. Well, you know what it was. My wife came to my house one day and she had 2 kittens in her arm. This is when we were dating, and she goes, "I found these kittens. Could we keep them here?" And I go, "If they come in this house, they found a home." And they did. One of them lived like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time, actually.
It was a Siamese, and they lived long.
That's a long time. But yeah, so Theo's 3. He's pretty well trained. I mean, we worked with a trainer for a little bit. That gentleman, Joe, I believe was his name, he actually trains the canines for like the sheriff department. Okay. So he worked for a little bit, a lot of commands. But just in general, we just work at home. And so a lot of people that come over and have had, I say, the pleasure of meeting them, you're going to leave with 2 things. One, you're going to leave with the understanding that Theo runs the house, because he does. And then you're going to leave with probably some hair because he sheds like crazy. So, but he's a great dog.
It's his house.
It is. It most definitely is. And I'm so glad that I got him. Love him to death. So
that's cool.
Well, it is. Arthur, anything you want to leave our audience with?
Yes.
I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff, and your story. I love your story. I love the fact that you've been open and honest. And I think as our audience is sitting out there, one of the things that we try to bring you is just something about how even Arthur talked about when he went through his divorce and he had to change sceneries, and he had to, as he came out, he had to work through some emotional things that as you do that, don't do it on your own. But as you heard that Arthur had a great mom, had a great a mentor in Jay, incorporating all of those things, and then had a friend that was looking out for you and said, hey, there's a job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Utilize your resources. I always tell my daughters, and this is where I think relationships comes involved. I know, JT, you have a lot of great ones, and Arthur, I've seen you. When I would walk with Arthur on the campus, or more importantly, when Arthur didn't see me, I was on campus and he was there, everybody greeted Arthur. Everybody liked Arthur. It was, you could be in the athletic department, or you could be in the teaching department, or you could be in the cafeteria. They all liked Arthur Smith.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I hope that that's true.
It is.
But
they wouldn't lie to me. I'm the pastor.
But no, I think it's just, in that sense, it's just the way you treat people.
It is.
And I learned that growing up, and have been, that's been reiterated in my life. I think it's just how you treat people. So if you typically say hi to everybody, if you typically are asking how people's day are, they're going to do the same to you. Yeah. So, and it's going to seem genuine. So, I appreciate that you noticing that.
Oh, I did.
You asked me about things I'd leave with the viewers today. Not to prolong the conversation, but something new or some people don't know. I used to stutter growing up.
Oh, yeah.
So, that was something that I had to overcome. So when I was little, a lot of people would not believe this if they meet me now, but I did not talk a lot when I was growing up, because I would stutter so bad. I would just get so nervous and so excited to say something that I just almost couldn't even find the words. And I would say that I still, kind of am aware of that. And so a lot of people, and I say that only because now I'm say the cat's out of the bag, people don't notice, but like if you see me at a game or you see me before a practice and I'm kind of like talking to myself, like looking at papers, whatever, really what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the words that I didn't want to say to the people that I'm about to go talk to. If I'm ready to talk to my team, or if I have to do some sort of award presentation or whatever, I kind of am just going over what I'm going to say in my head so I can then say it, and articulate what I'm trying to say out, in front of people. Because I have no problem with public speaking or anything of that nature, but it's like I just need a moment to kind of, and I did it today. Yeah. Even when I first got here, looked through the script and say, okay, when we get to this, I'm going to probably say this or whatever, just to kind of be best prepared. Or for me, I'll just kind of sit back and let the conversation, evolve in front of me, because again, I don't want to come in and be like, because I used to do that. So
interesting.
I just tell people, I share that, because I tell people, hey, everyone, has items that they overcome. Everybody. But and that's good. That makes you who you are. That makes you see within yourself that you can overcome things, and have success. A lot of people, they may face something as like, I just can't overcome this. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Arthur, as I've talked a lot about my speech impediment, which was a lisp, and which led into that. People don't realize how much that does sometimes kind of almost paralyze you.
It does.
Because I could go up and speak on stage, but as I'm speaking on stage, sometimes I'm almost ready to walk. And in mine will come in more of just a lisping, and it's more of an annoyance. but I can feel it coming on. So there's tricks that you have to learn.
Yep.
The worst thing I always do is when I meet another lisper, but I just have to really maybe not talk as much.
Yeah.
Because it'll just one will beget the other.
It most definitely will. It most
if people don't understand what you and I are thinking about right now, but you just have to learn through experience how to maneuver around that, as far as how, the Bible says two things I want to say. Bible says treat others as you would want to be treated. You do that.
Yeah.
The other one is, so you believe in a heart. So a man believes in a heart, so is he.
Yes.
Those are things that you can overcome those things.
Yeah. Just thinking about your story, you overcame a divorce, overcame depression, which so many people are dealing with, and then
because it's a circumstantial thing.
And you woke up, you had that moment where you go, okay, I need to change something because I'm not who I know I am. Like, you weren't your normal jolly self. You were clearly in some type of depression. So people out there, some of us need to know that it's time to wake up. I remember I had one relationship that crushed me, and I didn't wake up to my mom and say, you realize like you've been different lately. You've been just sitting and not yourself. And I go, oh, like I had no clue. I thought I was living life fine.
100%. and I'm glad you said it that way. People really don't notice that. I would probably even say people watching this today, they didn't know that I stayed up that late every night, because I was just in my head every night, because you don't see me until 9, 10 o'clock. You're like, oh, he slept like I did and did what I did. And no, so you do act a little different, but you can definitely come through
You
it.
have to have
Yes.
that moment, and God can get you through it. And he went out on a limb and look at the rest of his life, and there's still so much more to go.
Now, before we head out, so for you two, I'm just trying to set the bar for all of your guests that follow.
No, you already have.
Okay.
There we go.
I brought you guys some gifts.
Oh, he
No
knows
way.
that all you other guests.
So I brought you guys
guys are
some
in
gifts. So
trouble.
these right here are some limited edition exclusive bobbleheads courtesy of CSUB Athletics.
go.
So just wanted to bring those. And that kind of leads me into my last
Get on out.
kind of share, if you will, is in 2006 when I was going to Wichita State. Pull those things out. When I was going to Wichita State, they made the NCAA tournament.
I know.
And so we made it to the Sweet 16 that year. And so I was the mascot. And so I've always kind of had a soft spot for mascots. But I was the Wooshog mascot when we made our run to the Sweet 16. So if anyone follows me on social media, they may see some pictures of
This is awesome.
when we
Rowdy.
played in Greensboro. I was the mascot. So that was pretty funny. So there's some pictures
You
of
have the soft spot for the match.
there's some pictures of me getting dressed in the mascot outfit
I
and
think I saw one.
kind of going crazy, which was a lot of fun because, again, people don't know that. They don't know who's in there. But I can remember that run of flying on planes, not for the first time, but
so
like in
fun,
college,
too.
flying on planes and being behind the scenes and watching basketball up close. So when we made that run, I think we beat Tennessee that year. They were a number 2 seed.
Okay.
My best friend, I call him my brother, Ryan Martin, was on that team, and he made one of the final dunks in that game to really seal it. I'm in the mascot outfit, just going crazy,
Crazy.
yelling and jumping around, and nobody knows it's me. So that was a lot of fun. But no, guys, I just wanted to bring you some gifts. Hopefully, that's something you guys can remember.
New bar.
Yeah. So I'm
cool
saying
bar.
all those guests out there, if you don't bring anything, I
You're not gonna have.
mean, what are you really doing?
No rebroadcast.
What are you
I
really
love it.
doing?
So, Arthur, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, if anyone wants to get a hold of me, I say work-wise, you can just email me really simple at spirit@csub.edu.
Okay.
So just the word spirit, very
What about
simple.
your photography page? Go ahead.
Yeah, if anyone wants to get a hold of me there, it's just Art Smith Photography on Instagram and Facebook. So again, that's just Art Smith Photography, all one word.
Yep.
And I'd love to work with anybody. I mean, I actually have some events coming up with our local basketball leagues, and I try to take photos of many different things. So if anyone is interested in family photos or anything, that would be awesome as well. I'd love that.
I love it.
Good.
So you guys know how to reach him.
Yep.
So there again, we want to thank our Encourage Media Production. We want to thank Seth Parker, our on-site producer, and Mike Harvey, and Tessa and Taylor touched on creative consultants. And we do have something we're going to say. We got something new
Yes.
coming up. So
is
we're
an
about
announcement.
4 episodes from our year anniversary. Can you believe that?
It's crazy.
Let me be the first to say congratulations on that. I know you had mentioned watching me from afar. I've watched this show from afar. I've seen a lot of your other shows, and I really think that all of your guests have been great. So as you continue, let me just say congratulations
thank you.
early
Yeah.
on
You
your year anniversary.
You have raised
And
the bar.
You did. I hope this causes a chain reaction.
So what we're going to do on season 2, tell them, Justin.
You guys may have noticed we've had a lot of our guy friends, so we're
A
going
lot of men as guests.
Actually, invite the gals on out, our
Yes.
lady friends, and we have so many powerful, influential
We got
ladies in our lives.
we got a great season 2 coming up.
Yeah, so ladies, our friends especially, I know you haven't reached out to us and said anything, but I know
We
you're
feel it.
wondering, why haven't they called me to be
Well,
on the show? You're getting the call.
My wife has said it. My daughters have
getting
said
the
it. So it is. So hey, look in for season 2. And Justin, it's always been a pleasure. Arthur, man,
I appreciate it.
I love
Thank
being
you
around
guys
you.
very much.
Great
Thank you.
show.
So other than that, you guys have a
Lunch
great
break.
day.
We'll see you next time.